Shalom, shalom. Today will be 2 Kings 21 to the end. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah according to the abominations of the nations whom Yahuwah dispossessed before the children of Israel. For he turned and built the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed, and raised up slaughter places for Baal, and made an Asherah, and as Ahab, sovereign of Israel, had done. And he bowed himself to the hosts of the heavens, and served them. And he built slaughter places in the house of Yahuwah, which Yahuwah had said, In Jerusalem I put my name. And he built slaughter places for all the host of the heavens in the two courtyards of the house of Yahuwah. And he made his son pass through the fire, and practiced magic, and used divination, and consulted spirits and mediums. He did much evil in the eyes of Yahuwah to provoke him. I just want to know why. Maybe it'll tell us why. And he placed a carved image of Asherah that he had made in the house of which Yahuwah had said to David and to Shelomoth his son, In this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I put my name forever. And no more shall I cause the feet of Israel to move from the soil which I gave their fathers, only if they guard to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the Torah that my servant Moses commanded them. But they did not obey. And Manasseh led them astray to do more evil than the nations whom Yahuwah had destroyed before the children of Israel. And Yahuwah spoke by his servants the prophets, saying, Because Manasseh, sovereign of Judah, has done these abominations, having done more evil than all the Amorites who were before him, and also made Judah sin with his idols, therefore thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, See, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that both ears of those who hear it shall tingle. And I shall stretch over Jerusalem the measuring line of Shomeron, and the plummet of the house of Ahab, and shall wipe Jerusalem as one wipes a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And I shall forsake the remnant of my inheritance, and give them into the hand of their enemies. And they shall be for a prey and for a plunder to all their enemies, because they have done evil in my eyes, and have provoked me since the day their fathers came out of Mitzrayim, even to this day. And also Manasseh shed very much innocent blood, until he had filled Jerusalem from one end to the other, besides his sin, with which he made Judah sin, in doing evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. And the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and all that he did, and all the sin that he committed, are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereigns of Judah? So Manasseh slept with his fathers, and was buried in the garden of his own house, in the garden of Uzzah, and his son Amon reigned in his place. Amon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother was Meshullemeth, the daughter of Harutz of Yotbah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, as his father Manasseh had done, and walked in all the ways that his father had walked, and served the idols that his father had served, and bowed himself to them, and forsook Yahuwah Elohim of his fathers, and did not walk in the way of Yahuwah. And the servants of Ammon conspired against him, and killed the sovereign in his own house. But the people of the land struck all those who had conspired against sovereign Ammon. And the people of the land set up his son Yoshiyahu to reign in his place. And the rest of the acts of Ammon which he did, are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereigns of Judah? And he was buried in his burial place in the garden of Uzzah, and his son Yoshiyahu reigned in his place. I think probably a good answer for Manasseh doing, like, reverting back to the old ways, so to speak, the bad ways. We have to remember that only the tribe of Judah, basically, is left. That little land plot that they had, or whatever. mainly the ones that are left. And everybody that's surrounding them are people exiled from a different land, as we read yesterday. Anyway, Yoshiyahu was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Yedida, the daughter of Adaiah of Botzka. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahweh, and walked in all the ways of his father David, and did not turn aside right or left. And it came to be in the 18th year of sovereign Yoshiyahu that the sovereign sent Shaphan the scribe, son of Atzalyahu, son of Meshulam, to the house of Yahweh, saying, Go up to Hilkiah the high priest, and let him weigh the silver which has been brought into the house of Yahweh, which the doorkeepers have gathered from the people, and let them give into the hand of those doing the work, who are overseers in the house of Yahweh, and let them give it to those who are in the house of Yahweh doing the work, to strengthen the breach of the house. To carpenters, and to builders, and to stonemasons, and to buy timber, and hewn stone, and strengthen the house. However, let not the silver given into their hand be reckoned with them, for they are acting trustworthily. And Hilkiyahu, the high priest, said to Shaphan the scribe, I found the book of the Torah in the house of Yahweh. And Hilkiyahu gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. So, the book of the Torah in the house of Yahweh. At this point in time, I'm pretty sure they haven't been reading it. It was probably like lost a little bit, so to speak, because he found it. And Shaphan the scribe came to the sovereign, and brought word to the sovereign again, saying, Your servants have gathered the silver that was found in the house, and have given it into the hand of those who do the work, who oversee the house of Yahweh. And Shaphan the scribe informed the sovereign, saying, Hilkiah the priest has given me a book. And Shaphan read it before the sovereign. And it came to be, when the sovereign heard the words of the book of the Torah, that he tore his garments. And the sovereign commanded Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam son of Shaphan, and Achbor son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asaiah a servant of the sovereign, saying, Go inquire of Yahweh for me, for the people and all Judah, and for all Judah, concerning the words of this book that has been found. For great is the wrath of Yahweh that is kindled against us, because our fathers have not obeyed the words of this book, to do according to all that is written concerning us. Then Hilkiyahu, we're just going to call him Hil, just for short, because I'm stumbling hard there. Then Hil the priest, and Ahikam, and Achbor, and Shaphan, and Asaiah went to Huldah, the prophetess, the wife of Shallum, son of Tikwa, son of Harhas, keeper of the wardrobe. Yeah, you know who Harhas is. Now she was dwelling in Jerusalem in the second quarter, and they spoke with her, and she said to them, Thus said Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, Say to the man who sent you to me, Thus said Yahweh, See, I am bringing evil on this place and on its inhabitants. All the words of the book of the sovereign of Judah has read. All the words of the book which the sovereign of Judah has read. Because they have forsaken me, and burned incense to other mighty ones, to provoke me with all the words of their hands. And so my wrath shall be kindled against this place, and not be quenched. And to the sovereign of Judah, who sent you to inquire of Yahweh, say this to him, Thus said Yahweh Elohim of Israel, As for the words which you have heard, because your heart was tender, and you humbled yourself before Yahweh, when you heard what I spoke against this place and against its inhabitants, that they would become a ruin and a curse, and have torn your garments and wept before me, I have heard, I also have heard, declares Yahweh. Therefore see, I am gathering you to your fathers, and you shall be gathered to your burial site in peace, so that your eyes do not see all the evil I am bringing on this place. And they brought word to the sovereign. And the sovereign sent, and they gathered all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem to him. And the sovereign went up to the house of Yahweh with all the men of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant which had been found in the house of Yahuwah. And the sovereign stood by the column and made a covenant before Yahuwah to follow Yahuwah and to guard his commands and his witnesses and his laws with his heart and all his being, to establish the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. Sounds like a lot like Deuteronomy 6:4. Then the sovereign commanded Hill, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the doorkeepers to bring out the Hekal of Yahuwah, and all the objects that were made for Baal, and for Asherah, and for all the hosts of the heavens. And he burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and took their ashes to Bethel. And he took down the black-robed priest, cherubim, so the black-robed angel, I guess, whom the sovereigns of Judah had appointed to burn incense on the high places. Not Kemarim. Kemarim. We'll have to look that up later. Whom the sovereign of Judah had appointed to burn incense on the high places in the cities of Judah and in the places all around Jerusalem, and those who burn incense to Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the constellations, and to all the hosts of the heavens. And he brought out the Asherah from the house of Yahuwah to the Wadi Kidron outside Jerusalem, and burned it at the Wadi Kidron, and ground it to ashes, and threw its ashes on the burial sites of the sons of the people. And he broke down the houses of the male cult prostitutes that were in the house of Yahuwah, where the women wove tapestries for the Asherah. And he brought all the priests from the cities of Judah, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Geba to Beersheba, and broke down the high places at the gates which were at the entrance of the gates of Joshua, the governor of the city, which were to the left of the city gate. However, the priests of the high places did not come up to the slaughter place of Yahuwah in Jerusalem, but they ate unleavened bread among their brothers. And he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, so that no man can make his son or his daughter pass through the fire to Molech. And he did away with the horses that the sovereigns of Judah had given to the sun at the entrance of the house of Yahuwah by the room of Nathan Melech, the eunuch, that were in the court. And he burned the chariots of the sun with fire, and the slaughter places that were on the roof of the upper room of Ahaz, which the sovereigns of Judah had made, and the slaughter places which Manasseh had made in the two courtyards of the house of Yahuwah, the sovereign broke down, and rushed from there, and threw their dust into the Wadi Kidron. And the sovereign defiled the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mountain of destruction, which Shalomoth, sovereign of Israel, built for Ashtaroth, the abomination of the Sidonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And he broke down in pieces the pillars, and cut down the Asherim, and filled their places with the bones of men. And also the slaughter place that was at Bethel, and the high place which Jeroboam son of Nebat made, by which he made Israel sin, both the slaughter place and the high place he broke down. And he burned the high place, and ground it to dust, and burned the Asherah. Dude, isn't that awesome? Good job, dude. Like, you're knocking it out of the park over here. You're like, oh yeah, brother Manasseh over here and Ephraim built these golden cows and put up on the thing. I better go take them down, because they are a stumbling block for the people. Then Yoshiyahu turned and saw the burial sites that were on the mountain, and he sent and took the bones out of the burial sites, and burned them on the slaughter place, and defiled it according to the word of Yahuwah, which the man of Elohim proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. And he said, What tombstone is this that I see? And the men of the city said to him, It is the burial site of the man of Elohim, who came from Judah, and proclaimed these matters which you have done against the slaughter place of Bethel. And he said, Let him alone, and let no one move his bones. So they left his bones alone with the bones of the prophet who came from Shomeron. And Yoshiyahu Yoshiyahu also took away all the houses of the high places that were in the cities of Shomeron, which the sovereigns of Israel had made to provoke, and he did to them according to all the deeds he did in Bethel. And he slaughtered all the priests of the high places who were there on the slaughter places, and burned men's bones on them, and went back to Jerusalem. And the sovereign commanded all the people, saying, Prepare the Pesach to Yahuwah. Oh, God, I wonder how long it's been since they've done Pesach. Oh, my goodness. Prepare the Passover to Yahuwah, your Elohim, as it is written in the book of the covenant. For such a Pesach had not been prepared since the days of the rulers who ruled over Israel, nor in all the days of the sovereigns of Israel and the sovereigns of Judah. But in the 18th year of the sovereign of Yoshiyahu, this Pesach was prepared before Yahuwah in Jerusalem. And also Yoshiyahu put away all those who consulted mediums and spiritists and the household mighty ones and idols and all the abominations that were seen in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, in order to establish the words of the Torah which were written in the book that Hill the priest found in the house of Yahuwah. And before him there was no sovereign like him, who turned back to Yahuwah with all his heart, and with all his being, and with all his might, according to all the Torah of Moshe. And after him none rose up like him. That's very sad. However, Yahuwah did not turn from the fierceness of his great wrath, with which his wrath burned against Judah, because of all the provocations with which Manasseh had provoked him. And Yahuwah said, Even Judah I shall remove from my presence, as I have removed Israel. And I shall reject this city Jerusalem which I have chosen, and the house which I said, My name is there. And the rest of the acts of Yoshiyahu, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Judah? In his days Pharaoh Necho, sovereign of Mitzrayim, went up against the sovereign of Ashur to the river Euphrates, and sovereign Yoshiyahu went out to him, and he killed him at Megiddo when he saw him. And his servants conveyed his body in a chariot from Megiddo, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own burial place. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Yoshiyahu, and anointed him, and set him up to reign in his father's place. Yeah, that wasn't very clear until we got down, but old buddy died. I know I've said this once before, but I guess I'll say it again at this point. Don't go out to battle. You better ask first. You don't just go. You better ask. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 new moons in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Yirmiyahu of Libnah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his fathers did. And Pharaoh Necho imprisoned him at Riblah in the land of Hamath, to keep him from reigning in Jerusalem. And he imposed on the land a fine of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho set up Eliakim, son of Yoshiyahu, to reign in his place of his father Yoshiyahu, and changed his name to Yehoyakim. Yep. And Pharaoh took Jehoahaz and went to Mitzrayim, and he died there. And Yehoyakim gave the silver and the gold of Pharaoh, only he taxed the land to give silver according to the mouth of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and gold from the people of the land, from everyone according to his assessment, to give it to Pharaoh Necho. Yet Yehoyakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zibidah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his fathers did. I'd still like to know, like, how does that turn happen? Like, bro, how does that turn happen? Pops was doing so good, and son was like, nope, we're not doing that. In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came up, And Jehoiakim became his servant for 3 years. He turned and rebelled against him. And Yahuwah sent against him raiding bands of Kasdim, and raiding bands of Aram, and raiding bands of Moab, and raiding bands of the children of Ammon. And he sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of Yahuwah which he had spoken by his servant the prophets. Only at the mouth of Yahuwah this came upon Judah, to remove them from his presence, because of the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did. Not the tribe, the person. And also because of the innocent blood that he'd shed, for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which Yahuwah would not forgive. And the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Judah? So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiakim, his son, reigned in his place. And the sovereign of Mitzrayim did not come out of his land again. For the sovereign of Babel had taken all that belonged to the sovereign of Mitzrayim, from the wadi of Mitzrayim to the river Euphrates. We're just going to call him Ken because it's going to be easier. So Ken was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 new moons. That's it. His mother's name was Nehutzta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father did. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. And Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came against the city, and his servants were besieging it, as his servants were besieging it. And Ken, sovereign of Judah, and his mother, and his servants, and his heads, and his eunuchs, went out to the sovereign of Babel, and the sovereign of Babel, in the 8th year of his reign, took him prisoner. And he took from there all the treasures of the house of Yahuwah, and the treasures of the sovereign's house, and he cut in pieces all the objects of gold which Shalomoth, sovereign of Israel, had made in the Hakal of Yahuwah, as Yahuwah had said. And he exiled all Jerusalem, and all the officers, and all the mighty brave men, 10,000 exiles, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained except the poorest people of the land. And he exiled Ken to Babel, and the sovereign's mother, and the sovereign's wives, and his eunuchs, and the leading men of the land he exiled from Jerusalem to Babel. And all the mighty brave men, 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths, 1,000, and all who were strong and fit for battle, these the sovereign of Babel brought to Babel into exile. And the sovereign of Babel set up Mattaniah, Ken's uncle, to reign in his place, and changed his name to Siddiqiyahu. I don't even know. Siddiqiyahu was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years. Siddiqiyahu, I don't know. We're going to get there, in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Yirmiyahu of Libnah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that Jehoiakim did. For this took place in Jerusalem and Judah because of the displeasures of Yahuwah, until he had cast them out from his presence. And Siddiqiyahu rebelled against the sovereign of Babel. Oh, the cat's going to have an aneurysm. Give me a second. And it came to be, in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th new moon, on the 10th of the new moon, that Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, and all his army came against Jerusalem and encamped against it. And they built a siege wall against it all around. And the city was besieged until the 11th year of the sovereign Siddiqiyahu. Something like that. By the 9th of the new moon, the scarcity of food had become so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then the city wall was breached, and all the men of battle fled at night by the way of the gate between the 2 walls, which was by the sovereign's garden. Even though the Kasdim were still encamped all around against the city, and the sovereign went by the way of the desert plain, and the army of the Kasdim pursued the sovereign, and overtook him in the desert plains of Jericho. And all his army was scattered from him. And they seized the sovereign, and brought him up to the sovereign of Babel at Riblah, and they pronounced sentence on him. And they slew the sons of Sidkiyahu before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Sid, and bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babel. And in the 5th new moon of the 7th of the new moon, on the 7th of the new moon, which was the 19th year of sovereign Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, Nebuzaradan, the chief of the guard, a servant of the sovereign of Babel, came to Jerusalem, and he burned the house of Yahweh and the house of the sovereign and all the houses of Jerusalem. Even every great house he burned with fire. And all the army of the Kasdim who were with the chief of the guard broke down the walls of Jerusalem all around. And Dan, the chief of the guard, took Nebuzaradan, we're going to call him Dan, the chief of the guard, took into exile the rest of the people who were left in the city in the deserts, who deserted to the sovereign of Babel with the rest of the multitude. But the chief of the guard left some of the poor of the land as vine dressers and farmers. And the bronze columns that were in the house of Yahweh, and the stands, and the bronze sea that were in the house of Yahweh, the Kasdim broke in pieces and took their bronze away to Babel. And they took the pots, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the ladles, and the bronze utensils the priests used in the services. And the chief of the guard took the fire holders and the basins, which were of solid gold and solid silver. The bronze of these utensils was beyond measure. The 2 columns, the 1 sea, and the stand, which Shelomoth had made for the house of Yahweh, the height of 1 column was 18 cubits. Oh goodness, that's tall. It's got to be like 30 feet. I don't know. And the captain on it was of bronze, and the height of the captain was 3 cubits. Yeah, it's definitely over 30 feet. And the network and pomegranates all around the capital were of bronze. And the 2nd column was the same with the network. And the chief of the guard took Sariah, the chief priest, and Sepaniahu, the 2nd priest, and 3 doorkeepers. And out of the city he took a certain eunuch who was appointed over the men of battle, and 5 men of those who saw the sovereign's face, who were found in the city, and the chief scribe of the army who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the city. And Dan, chief of the guard, took them and made them go to the sovereign of Babel at Riblah. And the sovereign of Babel struck them and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. So he exiled Judah from its own land. And he appointed Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, over the people who were left in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, had left. And all the commanders of the armies, they and their men, heard that the sovereign of Babel had appointed Gedaliah, and they came to Gedaliah at Mitzpah, even Ishmael, son of Nathan, and Jonathan, son of Kereth, and Sariah, son of Tanhumeth, the Netophanite, and Yaazaniah, the son of Maakathite, and their men, they and their men. And Gedaliah swore to them and their men, and said to them, Do not be afraid of the servants of the Kasdim. Dwell in the land, and serve the sovereign of Babel, and let it be well with you. And in the 7th new moon it came to be that Ishmael, son of Nathan, son of Elishama, of the seed of the rain, came with 10 men, and struck Gedaliah that he died, and the Yehudim and the Kasdim who were with him at Mizpah. And all the people rose up, small and great, and the commanders of the armies, and went to Mitzrayim, for they were afraid of the Kasdim. You're never supposed to go back there. You don't go back to Egypt. And it came to be in the 37th year of the exile of Ken, sovereign of Judah, in the 12th new moon of the 27th of the new moon, that Ewil Merodach, sovereign of Babel, in the year that he began to reign, released Ken, sovereign of Judah, from prison, and spoke kindly to him, and set his throne above the throne of the sovereigns who were with him in Babel. and changed his brazen garments, and he ate bread continually before the sovereigns all the days of his life, even though he had his eyes blotted out. And all his allowance, a continual allowance, was given to him from the sovereign, a quota for each day, all the days of his life. How about it? How about it? Everybody's gone now. We are no longer here. We're not here anymore. We're somewhere way over here now. And that's not even accurate. It's probably more like over here still. But yep. We screwed the pooch so hard we don't even exist here anymore. And that's what happens. F-A-F-O. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited to start these because hopefully, outside of this first little bit of names, it's not going to be that difficult. I hope, anyway. As always, I love y'all. May Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you peace. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I myself shall bless them. Shalom, shalom.